whoever's watching, and welcome to Broken Bias. I'm Yash, and this is the very first season of my podcast. This season is all about talking to people who are of my age and are in high school. We talk about gender roles, gender stereotypes, and equality in their own lives. There's no big speeches or polished answers. It's completely honest conversations that are pretty much on the spot. And so to get things started, I got on a call with one of my friends from school whose name is Aaron, and we talked about what it means to be a boy, the expectations that come with that, and how he sees gender equality in his own life. And it was a pretty honest and thoughtful conversation, and I'm very excited for you to hear it. So let's get started. This is episode one of Broken Bias. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Before we get started, would you mind introducing yourself to everybody that's listening and tell us a bit about yourself, what you like doing?
Yeah, sure. My name is Arun Blah. I am half Kannadiga and quarter Kasi and quarter Assamese. And I enjoy theater and acting and to an extent singing. I love listening to music, though.
All right.
Those are my main hobbies.
I see. Those sound pretty interesting. I also like doing theater and listening to music. So can you tell me, like, not only just theater, but any of your hobbies? Do you think that society or anybody that you know, your family, your friends, anybody, do they have any sort of certain like expectations from you and what your hobbies are and how they look at you just because of what you like doing?
Um, I guess, okay, from what I understand, the question is essentially how my hobbies are shaped by how people look at me, right? That's the question.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so for a hobby like theater, let's say, theater is very much a means of self-expression. You know, you get up on that stage and you're someone else entirely. It's sort of this is sort of freedom and liberty that comes with theater that you just don't get anywhere else. And I guess it allows me to sort of escape and show parts of myself that I can't really explore in front of people in an ordinary, like everyday life basis.
Right, right. And so, I mean, you know that our topic for today is gender roles, right? So, what do you think people expect from teenagers, especially boys of our age, high schoolers? What do you think they expect from us?
Honestly, people still expect boys like our age to act tough and not show too much emotion. You know, this whole idea of being nonchalant. You know, there's this unspoken rule that you have to be confident all the time and into sports, into dating girls, and not into anything too feminine. And if you step outside that, people either make fun of you or act like you're weird.
Right. And where do you think these ideas actually come from? Where are they rooted from? Where are they coming from?
I mean, I don't think it comes from us, right? Even though it's this sort of idea that we see, this pattern that we see in boys our age, it's actually a tale as old as time. I mean, you see, in the 90s, this idea of the man of the house that looks after all the financial needs, goes out and works and comes back with the bread that the wife then has to do the chores around the house and sort of prepare meals and cater to the husband's needs. And then that itself comes from our sort of hunter-gatherer days where the men back then were physically stronger, so they'd be sent out to hunt and then bring the food back home for the kids and the woman to eat. But the truth is that like we're way past that. So times have changed. Times have definitely changed, but our mindset and mentality has not. And that's where this whole atmosphere comes from. It comes from back then, but people don't understand that we don't live in the hunter-gatherer years anymore.
Yeah, a lot of us,
We're in a, yeah, yeah.
they're just not able to break free still from this idea, right? Can you
Yeah.
remember the first time where you noticed or where you realized that there were different expectations for boys and girls?
I mean, it probably have to trace back all the way to elementary school, right? Where I remember attending this football class, and every other guy that was shouting at each other and kicking the ball and scoring goals, and I just sit down and play with the mud and make sculptures out of it, and all the boys would like laugh at me, and I guess back then I sort of chalked it down to me not going by the football rules, but as I grew up, I noticed it take form in different ways. Like all the other kids would play and hang outside on the jungle gym in my new school, and I just go straight during lunch break to the arts department and draw and sketch and make origami, and people would look at me weirdly for that, and I just remember feeling so different and not in a good way, so excluded from the boys of my age. That's when I noticed, like, okay, people expect me to act a certain way.
Right. Yeah. And so you were able to see that from a young age, right? But a lot of the boys would, like you said, most of the boys would make fun of you for doing what you liked, right? And so sometimes people are not able to realize that just because somebody tells them to do something, it doesn't mean that they're supposed to do that, like the world's not going to end if you don't listen to them. So,
Yeah.
and that brings us to the like idea of toxic masculinity, right? That's how it usually like comes from. So when I say toxic masculinity, what's the first like thoughts that come to your mind?
I mean, toxic masculinity. I mean, it's pretty complicated, but in my mind, it's basically the unhealthy rules that society puts on boys about what it means to be a real man, like stuff like don't cry, always be in control, never back down, and this whole idea of being dominant as a male. Toxic masculinity doesn't really say that masculinity itself is bad, but it's saying those extreme expectations are bad for everyone.
Right. And some people think that toxic masculinity, I mean, it does come from the male gender, but do you think that it can affect girls too, right? Do you think it can affect girls too? And how do you think it impacts the relationships of both boys and girls?
Oh, I mean, it undoubtedly impacts girls and the relationship and dynamics between boys and girls. I mean, it creates this culture where girls might feel less safe or less respected because boys are taught to be dominant or to treat relationships like a competition. It also limits how boys treat girls, instead of being genuine and friendly, they're taught to impress or control.
Right. And if you don't mind me asking, has it ever impacted you personally? Can you share like an experience that you've had where you felt in a way like not comfortable in expressing yourself freely because you thought other boys or other people of your age would judge you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've caught myself holding back from telling people when I'm upset. I mean, I try not to, but the culture is so relentless that I've definitely caught myself holding back from telling people when I'm upset just because I sometimes feel worried that they'll think I'm overreacting. I mean, a recent example would be probably during a group project where everything went wrong. I wanted to say I was stressed out, but I kept acting like I didn't care because I didn't want to be the one who couldn't handle it.
And so a lot of boys our age often feel lonely, even with having a lot of friends, a lot of big friend groups, but often they feel like they can't really relate to just one person, or they don't feel comfortable in sharing how they feel. So what do you think can actually help them, open up and feel better in confessing how they feel and expressing themselves?
Dude, honestly, it's just if we saw more guys around us, like friends, older students, or even teachers, just talking openly about emotions, without being judged. It would show that it's normal and not a weakness. But we've dug ourselves so deep into this culture, right? We have this idea that it's not okay to show weakness or to express our emotions, that other people who feel like that will see us not expressing it and think the same. And in the culture, it's like a plague. It spreads. So I think it's up to those of us who sort of understand the implications and the weight of the culture to not feed into it and call it out and make an environment where people do feel comfortable to express themselves.
Right. And from what you say, I can tell that you are very like, self-aware about these kind of issues and how to address them. But has there ever been a person in your life, it can be a teacher, a family member, a relative, a friend even maybe, who helped you see and build this perspective more clearly?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of role models or influencers that help me see gender more equally, I guess there were definitely a couple of teachers who treated everyone with the same respect, no matter their gender or whatever. I mean, they called out stereotypes without making it a huge deal, and they just normalized equality. And they really affected my life because they never made me feel stupid for asking questions or thinking differently. They showed by example that respect isn't about proving yourself, it's about listening and treating people fairly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Um, and so usually what happens, especially like in schools, in a school environment, when people see like boys and girls having a friend group together, or just a boy and a girl hang out together, they usually like clown it and laugh at it and like say like, oh, you like them or they like you and stuff like that. So what does like respect and consent mean to you in a relationship, a friendship between a boy and a girl?
I mean, what consent means to me. I mean, it's when someone gives clear, enthusiastic agreement to something, and it can be taken back at any time. Consent can be taken back at any time, and it's not just about dating. It's about respecting boundaries in every situation. Consent is needed in every situation. It's the basis of a healthy, respectful relationship, romantic or platonic.
Right. And so, my last question for you is, if there's one piece of advice that you could give to younger boys, slightly younger boys that are like slowly moving into middle school, right? And any sort of advice on being themselves and not getting trapped in these expectations of other people and these stereotypes, like they're supposed to act in a certain way. So, what would that be?
Honestly, it comes down to one thing. Just don't measure yourself by someone else's idea of man enough. The people worth keeping around you will respect you for who you are and not how well you fit into a stereotype.
Right. Okay. That was all I had to ask you. Um, and I think yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your opinions on this topic. And yeah, thank you so
My
much.
pleasure, Yash.
And so that is a wrap to the very first episode of Broken Bias. It's a great start to the journey of exploring how gender roles play out in our lives. And remember, this is just the beginning. I have a few more episodes that are lined up in this season itself. Stay tuned for the next one where we talk to Ananya and she shares her experiences on growing up in an only girls school and the challenges that she faced. So, yeah, thank you for listening to Broken Bias and see you in the next one.